Good afternoon. We begin our briefing. Operational information from ATO. Volodymyr Polyovyi, he's the deputy head of Information Analytical Center of Security and Defense Council Ukraine. Good morning. Good afternoon. Yesterday, President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, made a working visit to Kharkiv region, in the program of which traditionally he emphasized on issues of security and defense. During his visit to Kharkiv University of Air Force after Kozhedub, President of Ukraine emphasized that the state will provide the necessary support to renovate and modernize Air Force of Ukraine. The president mentioned that a great change of attitude of people to the armed forces. All the country understands that it demonstrates respect to armed forces. If a year ago, only 20% of Ukrainians wanted to defend the country with weapons, and now we have more than 60%. The level of trust to the armed forces is on the level of 63%. President Poroshenko also visited the factory after Malyshev, which produces modern armed vehicles like tanks, the modern tanks, upload and modernized BTR-E and BTR-E4, and they provide capital maintenance to tanks T-74 and Bulat 62. Also, they produced the Zor B vehicle. The president underlined that in the coming months we need to enlarge the production of armed vehicles and delivery that to the armed forces. So that's why the state order will grow. As is planned, the next months, the plant after March will produce a record number of products. As to the situation in the ATO area, despite of decrease of tension in ATO area, in some districts the situation is still complicated because of provocations of terrorists. The biggest number of shelling and attacks of terrorists we notice in districts near Debaltsevo, in Donetsk airport and near Shastia. During the last day, we don't have casualties and 4 wounded. During the day, terrorists 4 times they shelled Donetsk airport while they used mortars and other weaponry. As a result of storming storming our forces in that region, terrorists lose a lot of their forces, and they will involve Cossack organizations from Russian Federation to replace the dead. But there is a problem because the more and more mercenaries refuse to go to Donbass because information about courage and heroism of Ukrainian military men is quite known in Russia. Near Horlivka, in Mayorskis village, our military men answered kicked back terrorists. Near Nikishino, Novolanspa, Uspino, they were shelled with grenade launchers, mortars, and other shooting weaponry. The only case when terrorists used artillery, that was near Mius, and they shelled the checkpoint of ATO. In general, artillery against Ukrainian armed forces, mercenaries don't use them, government don't use them, but they use it when there are clashes between different gangs of terrorists, and such clashes became more frequent. They are dangerous for peaceful population, for civilians, and the situation in Mariupol is under control. Is calm. City services are working like usually. There is an increase of activity of in intelligence using drones, and 6 of them were found in Mariupol, and 2 drones were noticed on the border with occupied Crimea. As to the situation in towns and cities, in Popasna, which is under control of Ukrainian armed forces, After renovation of electricity, we improved the work of analogous transmitters of Ukrainian TV channels 1+1 and Inter. During the day, pyrotechnic units of state service on emergency, they found and took 177 explosive devices and items on liberated territories. So they examined 1,000 hectares of the territory, and they found more than 23,000 explosive items and ammunition. German, as to international support of peace plan of President Poroshenko, German civic organizations refused to participate in a Russian-German forum in Petersburg dialogue. In his letter to Chancellor Merkel and to Mr. Steinmeier, different organizations and funds, the argument their unwillingness to participate because Russia annexed Crimea and they violated norms of international law and started declared war in the east of Ukraine. Representative of German civic sector, they speak about pressure on Russia on independent media, on opposition and on NGOs. They mention the fact that they are forced to be registered as international agents, a foreign agency if they receive international support. That's all information I had. Please, your questions. Yes. What about monitoring mission work? Could you give some overview of that? Thank you. In the east of Ukraine, there is a monitoring commission, OSCE. They're working there. And also there is a joint contact group to monitor ceasefire and separation and drawing a separation line. There are consultations in that joint committee with the participation of Russia, Ukrainian military men, and also representatives of so-called DNR. They also are involved. The main goal is to establish ceasefire. That will be the next stage, and that is on demarcation. Any other question? If not, thank you very much. Thank you.